Trump appointee Gordon Sondland, the most central player in the Ukraine scandal to testify thus far, on Wednesday gave bombshell testimony before lawmakers in the impeachment inquiry.
Was there a quid pro quo? As I testified previously, with regard to the requested White House call and the White House meeting, the answer is yes.
The U.S. ambassador to the EU and one-time Trump donor, Sondland said under oath that he worked with Trump's personal attorney, Rudy Giuliani, on Ukraine issues on, quote, the president's orders.
So we followed the president's orders.
Telling lawmakers that Giuliani was trying to get Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky to publicly commit to investigations into Trump's political rival in exchange for an official White House visit.
Mr. Giuliani's requests were a quid pro quo for arranging a White House visit for President Zelensky. Mr. Giuliani demanded that Ukraine make a public statement announcing the investigations of the 2016 election, DNC server, and Burisma. Mr. Giuliani was expressing the desires of the President of the United States, and we knew these investigations were important to the President.
Sondland also implicated the most senior people in the Trump administration in the scheme, including Vice President Mike Pence and Secretary of State Mike Pompeo.
Everyone was in the loop. The suggestion that we were engaged in some irregular or rogue diplomacy is absolutely false. I'm not sure how someone could characterize something as an irregular channel when you're talking to the President of the United States, the Secretary of State, the National Security Advisor, the Chief of Staff of the White House, the Secretary of Energy.
The ambassador also testified that he came to believe that nearly $400 million in military aid was contingent on the investigations into the Bidens and the unfounded theory that Ukraine, not Russia, meddled in the 2016 election.
Is this kind of a 2 + 2 = 4 conclusion that you reached?
Pretty much.
Is the only logical conclusion to you that, given all of these factors, that the aid was also a part of this quid pro quo?
Yep.
Though Sondland said he never heard that directly from the president.
President Trump never told me directly that the aid was conditioned on the meetings. The only thing we got directly from Giuliani was that the Burisma and 2016 elections were conditioned on the White House meeting. The aid was my own personal, guess, based again on your analogy, 2 + 2 = 4.
Republicans highlighted Sondland's claim of a quid pro quo as his opinion and tried to cast him as unreliable.
No one on this planet told you that President Trump was tying aid to investigations, yes or no?
Yes.
So, you really have no testimony today that ties President Trump to a scheme to withhold aid from Ukraine in exchange for these investigations.
Other than my own presumption.
Which is nothing.
My colleagues seem to be under the impression that unless the president spoke the words, Ambassador Sondland, I am bribing the Ukrainian president, that there's no evidence of bribery. If he didn't say, Ambassador Sondland, I'm telling you I'm not going to give the aid unless they do this, that there's no evidence of a quid pro quo on military aid. But nonetheless, Ambassador, you've given us a lot of evidence of precisely that conditionality of both the White House meeting and the military assistance.